Hello reefers, how are you all doing? This is my second video in the series of Moe's Reef. As you know, I bought this TMC Signature 90 litre cube in my last video. At the time I'd ordered my equipment and we've jumped ahead. It's been around a month since my last video. I was going to show you the setup of the aquascape, but to be honest with you, I haven't had so much time recently. Work's been really manic, so in the downtime that I did have, I was doing bits and pieces, nothing major enough to make a video. I've got some time today, so I thought I'll give you an update on where I am. As you can see, I've got the rock in, I've got a few pieces of coral, I've got a single damsel. You might not be able to see him at the moment. I'm just going to start with the sump area, give you an update on what I've done there, and then we can talk a little bit more about the light and what I've got going on in the tank. So, here is my sump. Now, first thing I want to start talking about is just the wire management. I'm pretty proud of the work that I've done here on routing the cabling and making everything neat and tidy. So, I have got my power grid up there, which I screwed in, so it's mounted on 2 screws, and then as you can see, the wires from the skimmer and the return are routed all the way around the back and then up to the plugs. I've got my reactor currently not switched on, and also the controller for my return pump there, a controller for my wave maker on the left hand side. I've got my temperature, my thermometer there as well. I had to put a gate valve on the return because the J-Cod 3000 or 30 watt that I purchased was quite powerful, so I put a gate on there just to slow down the return, and that also makes the power consumption reduce as well. In terms of how everything's working, so we've got the water from the overflow coming down into filter sock. As you can see, I've got some marine pure spheres in that first chamber as well. They come through over the baffle. When I do have my carbon running, they will be going through the reactor. In the sort of lower part of the baffle, I've also then put some chopped off marine pure blocks to act as another filter step. Then I've got my Bubble Megas 3.5 running. Currently the skim being produced is not that great. The bioload in the tank isn't very heavy. I've got 1 fish and I just added some corals yesterday. And then finally, I've got the temperature in that chamber, and then I've got the J-Cod return pump also sitting on a couple of blocks of marine pure. So that is some, I think I told you last time, I've got some LED lighting up the top, which I can control. And it has some nice coloured schemes on there as well, which is great. I also did purchase this NI. It's not currently in the tank. I'm waiting for 48-hour period where I put the little chip in. It's currently being soaked in water, but that will be mounted at the back where the return is, just to monitor water level and also the top off as well. So that's the sump. What do you guys think? Hopefully, you know, cable management has inspired some of you to clean yours up. I really like it. You know, when I go to feed, I can just press feed mode there, and the tank will stop any motion in the tank itself. So, it's been cycling for a couple of weeks now, and to actually aid the cycling process, I added the hang-on filter that I was using on my nano tank. So this is a Seche Tidal 55, and I had all of the sponges in there. I had some carbon and phosphorus as well, phosphate media. So I just added that on, and that actually really helped me build up the filter straight away. It's also got a hang-on piece for the thermometer. So I actually will be disassembling this Seche in the next few days and just taking it off and allowing the sump's filtration to just kick into full effect. The light that I've got on here is also from my Nano. It looks very much like a Kessel. It's actually sort of a knockoff, I guess it is, that I got on eBay from a company called Kilo. I'm not sure if it says Kilo anywhere, but it's a Kilo light. It's got that dense packed LED matrix. It's got a phone Wi-Fi controller, and I've just measured the par levels with my Senai, and that's giving me a peak of around 350, and in lower levels, you know, I'm getting a solid 150 to 200 as well. So the output is great. I've just adjusted it. I'm really pleased with that light. It's actually creating a really nice shimmer on the ceiling in my flat. It's a shame I can't filter this video because it's producing a nice white light, but on the video it does look, you know, a nice deep purple. In terms of what I've done in the tank, I bought 3 pieces of live rock. So I bought this arch here, I bought this other piece, and I bought this third piece of rock. What I did, I tried 3 or 4 different positions with them on the floor. I found a nice order which I then I went with. So I started by actually taking this one piece. I was using 2-part epoxy, and I knew I wanted an arch. So on each of the bases, I had a big clump of epoxy. Put that down. This was before I had sand in, and mounted that arch as a first piece. I then went on to mount this piece. You can see this join here in the middle. Again, took a fair bit of epoxy. At the time I only had the grey epoxy, so I'm going to hopefully get some mushrooms and stuff to cover that area. I've recently then gone and bought some purple epoxy. So I mounted this with the base, stood it up, and then connected it to the original arch just over here. And then finally I took the third piece of rock. Again, I tried picking stuff with holes in it. This rock's got a hole in it there. This bit of rock's got a nice hole in it there. Lots of caves and everything for the fish to be able to go through. And so, yeah, left the rock in there, let it settle for a day or so. Then went ahead and added my Red Sea live base, aragonite sand. Added some water sort of halfway and let that sit a little bit. And then over the sort of following week, I topped the tank level up. I had to, when I first realised my return pump was too powerful, I then had to order some new piping and a gate valve, which I did, and I've showed you that down here. So added that, got the flow, and the tank sort of cycled for about 2.5 weeks, where I added my hang-on filter as well. That really did help the cycling. The biological filter built up. The ammonia readings I did test kit. Ammonia nitrite was at 0, so then I was pretty happy with that. So then I went to the shop. Actually, before that, I actually put my damsel in. Don't know where the little critter is now. He's probably hiding behind that hang on the back filter. Let's see if I can find him. Not sure where he is, but since then, first thing I bought was actually a nice bubble tip green anemone. I'm really pleased with that. It's looking beautiful. It's opened up yesterday. It was actually huge, spreading out over everything. Seems to be happy there on the back perch. This is my sofa, so I'll be sitting there being able to see the anemone, looking great. I took a few mushrooms from my last tank. You can see a couple of them here, and there is one just there as well. Put those mushrooms on. I bought a Cereophora bird's nest, sort of a green, fluorescent green Hystrix, or bird's nest as they're known, SPS coral, and I mounted that at the top where there's higher flow straight in front of the power head, and there's much higher power ratings. And then finally I've got a small zoophrag, which I actually picked up for just a £5 at my local fish store, and I've just mounted that over. You can see there's another bit of epoxy there, so I'll add another sort of colony of another zoophrag there. And then I've got a couple of snails there and there. Might not be able to see them with the light. And I've got an emerald crab in there somewhere as well. So, I mean, I'm really happy. I'm now going to let this tank sit for 2 or 3 weeks, let the filter continue to build. One thing that I did when I added my marine pure balls, I watched a video on YouTube, so I made a little mix for them. So it was copepods, some RO water, I added some spirulina powder, and I got these little vials of bacteria to get the bacteria started. I added them all in. I actually poured them over the Marine Pure before adding those to the tank. So it's like a green fluid because of the spirulina. Did that, then added the balls. Then I went ahead and actually added the water that went into the sump. So sort of kick-started that filter. Happy with the progress so far, but as mentioned, I'm going to sit now for a few weeks' time. I've got really sort of exciting plans for what I want fish-wise. Got the anemone, so a pair of clowns will probably be my first purchase. I want a 6-line wrasse. It's always been a favourite of mine. And then I'm probably going to get a sand-shifting goby, and then a couple of angels. Maybe a little baby flame angel, and maybe a lemon peel. Obviously, when they're larger, I'll remove them and trade them for maybe some larger fish, maybe some smaller fish. Tank size is only total is only 90 litres, so I've got to make sure that they've got plenty of space. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have the space in here for a tang. I could get a baby regal tang. And then maybe after a year trade that back as well. We'll see how that goes, but certainly pair of clowns is going to be my next port of call. In terms of corals, I'm really excited about that. Definitely, this is going to be a reef tank. This area here where I sit next to the sofa, I'm going to have 3 or 4 different acan frags. So I want a big acan colony growing into one another. I'm really excited of how that's going to look, and so that's probably one of the most exciting things I'm looking to do. And then in terms of other corals, I probably will get a couple more SPS corals. It's going to be a mixed tank, but it's definitely going to be LPS and softy heavy with just a 2 or 3 SPS. So mixed reef. It'll be harder. Haven't got onto dosing requirements. I'm measuring alkalinity at the moment with the Red Sea kit. I am ordering a Hannah checker for alkalinity to do daily readings, and I'm going to potentially consider getting a Hannah checker for calcium as well, to save me that long process of taking those readings using the Red Sea titrator. So when that Hannah checker comes, daily alkalinity readings, and I'll probably be doing weekly calcium readings as well. Before once I've established what the corals are consuming, I'm going to start dosing calcwater, and I'm going to add that into the RR unit. So I haven't got an auto top off at the moment, just waiting on that to arrive. Once the auto top off arrives, within that container I'm going to add calcwater and hopefully start dosing that as well based on the requirement of the corals. So tank is up and running. I'm really happy. I've actually disassembled my old Nano. Got the skimmer there, got everything. I'm actually going to be putting that on eBay to sell, but really happy in those last few days. Made a lot of progress with this. Put those corals in. I'm really pleased I've got the tank up and running. The light is shining on it. The shimmer is looking beautiful here in the lounge. It's daytime, but it's still looking stunning. And yeah, there it is. Keen to hear comments. Hit the subscribe button. Track the progress with me over the next few months, years, however long this channel goes on for. Send me your questions. Yeah, thanks very much for tuning in.